So people ask, why are the Chinese producing this long list of things like gallium and germanium, all these other things? And you really have to ask yourself, back when Clinton was president, the Americans essentially exported their industrial base to China. And if you're going to make things in China, aren't you want to go secure all of the things you need to make things with? Chinese don't just make ordinary things. They don't just make China, and they make iPhones and Tesla cars and computers and all these other things. So they need all of the things. And so when people think of the Chinese as having weaponized rare earths and turned off supply, if you flip it around, the Chinese were simply securing their own supplies to make sure that their industries had the upper hand. It's no different to what the Americans would do. It's no different to what the Europeans would do. It's just because it's China, we label it as weaponization. Let's go back to the end of the Second World War. The fact is that China is still a communist country. Therefore, Americans think China is bad, the same as they think Russia is bad. So if you're a communist, you're bad. Doesn't matter what you do otherwise, but if you have a command economy, you're the bad guys. And so it doesn't really matter what China does or Russia does. They'll always be labeled by the Americans as bad, and the UK and Australia simply follow whatever the Americans, because that's where our defense links are. Yet, as we all know, without China, the West Australian economy would collapse. So on the one hand, we want Chinese to buy our products, but at the same time, we're trying to hit them with a big stick provided by America. It defies logic. And it's one of the few things I agree with Paul Keating on, is that this is not the way to deal with China. As I was saying earlier, it's not the way to deal with Indonesia, to ban their product, because you never will. It's like trying to ban conflict diamonds. So just find another way out of Africa or another way out of Indonesia. And if you do, excuse me, where are you going to get all this nickel from? Without Indonesian nickel, we won't have enough nickel. And if you say that there's a war on, so one of the benefits of calling the Cold War, and that some people have labeled what's currently going on with China as the new Cold War, as soon as you say war, it allows you to do whatever you like. Now, as President of the United States, you can press the big red button if you want to, because it's war, and we can tell people what to do instead of asking them. I find that very counterproductive in the modern world to think that way. You can't control other people through threats anymore. You need to coerce them with love.